Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Buster Taste Challenge. This Dawn Busters features JW Dance, JW Dant, blended Scotch whiskey. Now, Johnny Neely was asking if that might just be a made-up name. I said, no, actually, Dance was founded in 1836. The first time this trademark was used was 1836, but it was a bourbon company. They distilled bourbon whiskey, Kentucky bourbon whiskey. Later on, they expanded into bringing in other products, okay, like Scotch. They brought in Scotch. I'm sure they paid somebody to make it for them, and they put their name on it. This is a common practice. Dance is now owned by Heaven Hill, so it's imported by Heaven Hill and bottled in Bardstown, Kentucky. So there's like the longest essay about Scotch you'll ever find on a label. See the glare, but it's a big. I was standing in the line waiting to check out at Dorgnac's and reading this, the past, and it goes all about Scotch, blah 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 blah. So this blended Scotch is aged 36 months, and it's a 1 liter, and it costs $8.99. I repeat, $8.99 for a 1 liter bottle, 1,000 milliliters. Good deal, right? Yes. Now, assuming it tastes good, it's pretty good. Johnnie Walker Red Label blended Scotch whiskey, aged at least 3 years. It says on the label, aged at least 3 years. There's a striding man. He's a walker. Get it? Play on words, a pun. Johnnie Walker and the Walker. Royal Warrant. There's the emblem showing that it's certified as a procurer, supplier of liquor to the royal family of Great Britain. Okay, this was $18 for a 750 milliliter bottle. It would have been $22, but I had a $4 coupon from Diageo. Rebate. You had to mail it in. You got your $4 back. I actually got an $8 check because I used $4 on this and $4 on Captain Morgan White. Introduced in 1909, well, actually rebranded as Red Label in 1909, Johnnie Walker Red Label. It was actually introduced in 1867 as Walker's Old Highland blended Scotch whiskey. Okay, anyway. But since Dance came from I don't know, Johnnie Walker, the Walker Company started in 1820, so maybe they deserve to go first, but does it really matter? It doesn't. Gold, poured a little too much. Gold. I think the Johnnie Walker is going to win pretty easily, and the reason is because it's got a rich, smoky aroma. Well, a rich, smoky flavor, not really aroma. And that's going to set it apart. I haven't gotten it wrong one time so far. I haven't confused it with any other Scotch whiskeys. It's been a clear winner, and it's very noticeable because of that rich, smoky character. Just drinking down some of the Dance. I do pick up a little smoke with the Dance, a little bit of peat, but it's mostly grain, alcohol, grain whiskey, sweet, like sweet corn. You know, if you get a can of sweet corn, just think about sweet corn without salt in it, like Libby's sweet corn, but without the salt, or just boil corn on the cob and add no salt to it and eat it. It probably wouldn't be too, very enjoyable, but you'd get that. The color's the same here, just burnished gold. You'd get that sweet corn flavor. Now the Johnnie Walker, yeah, you get the sweet corn. Oh, but you open the blinds to let in the light. Haha, the light. Full moon though. Full moon. Moon crazy. Moon crazy. Is the Johnnie Walker worth the $22 versus the $8.99? So you're talking about 22 for a liter, $8.99 for 22 for a 750. Let's see. Let's see here. $8.99 divided by 1,000 times 750. I want to convert it to the same bottle size. $6.74. Okay, so we're talking about $6.74 versus, let's say, $20, because some stores will have it for 18, some say 22. Is it worth the $20 versus the $6.74? My answer would be yes. It is worth it because you're getting a richer flavor, just a better product. Now, if you're in a pinch and you don't have a lot of money, is the JW Dance worth it on its own just as a cheap substitute? Yeah, I think it is. It's not nasty or anything. It's worth it, you know. Sure, it's better than the Highland Mist from Sazerac, which is so bland. Ain't much happening with that one. And that's actually more per ounce than the Dance. The Dance is the cheapest I've seen, so guess what? I'm going with Dance. All right, let's do. I've mixed them up very well. It's not going to be a challenge. I call it a taste challenge, but it really isn't. It's Dawn Busters, but it isn't much of a challenge. Do I have some more scotches to do against Johnnie Walker? Yeah, I'll tell you real fast. I have to do, let's see. So I got Dance done. I have the Scoresby, which is now Sazerac brand, a Sazerac brand. I have Highland Mist. That's going to be a laugh. That'll be a sorry spectacle. And then I have Inverhouse, and that's not much better. Now, Daniel Newman on his channel was calling it Iverhouse. Iverhouse. I said, no, it's Inverhouse, and he hated it. Well, got a right to hate it. It's been around a long time, Inverhouse. It's made by a company called Inverhouse. It's handled by Sazerac, really. But there's a separate company called Inverhouse Distilling, which is in Scotland, but is owned by a Thai company. Strange, isn't it? But they do nothing to promote it. used to have magazine ads in the 40, 50 years ago. Well, more like 45 or 50 years ago. 60 years ago. This one is just so basic. It's just kind of like a somewhat harsh grain alcohol application, kind of like a little peat, and it's kind of like just a lot of cereal grain. Still, I think it's better than most of the American blended whiskeys, because some of those fellows can be weird, strange, odd, unusual, aberrant, incorrect. Like in, Heaven Hill, they got a bad habit of making American blended whiskeys that taste like honeydew melon. It's like, why would this taste like fruit, And then it'd be off and weird. And you can get some strange, funky, monkey stuff. I don't know. Now you get some good American blended whiskeys that taste like bourbon, like Beam's 8-Star. Tastes like you could fool people and they think it's bourbon. And it's only 20% straight bourbon. The rest is corn liquor, unaged. Well, you say moonshine, what they call that, but it's grain alcohol, grain spirits, neutral grain spirits. And they're probably using 2-year aged Jim Beam that maybe was off in some way. And they make the Beam's 8-Star. You would imagine they're using 2-year age Jim Beam, because Jim Beam's aged 4 years, but they're taking some 2-year age, blending it with the grain spirits, and bloop, there you go, Beam's 8-Star. That one's all right. It's all right, even though it's young. Now, you want to get the really good American blended whiskey. I don't know about Bird Dog. I don't know about TX. I don't know about Rebecca Creek. I never had those. They're expensive, you know. I'm not paying all that money. But Seagram 7 Crown run you about $13 a bottle. That's 25% straight whiskey, and it's good. You know, it tastes good. They do a good job. You can taste the wood in it, a little char. You could also maybe convince people that it's bourbon. Trick them, you know. Canadian whiskeys, some good blended Canadians is Canadian Club. I like that one a lot. Rich and Rare Reserve, I'm a fan of that. Haven't tried Crown Royal yet, except one time I sampled a little bitty bit, like an ounce, but I got that coming up. Coming up, so you better get this challenge started. Get this challenge started on a Saturday night. All right, you know what I'm saying. All right, anyway, good morning, Ron. Hi there, Joe. Joe says, Dawn is officially busted. Morning, Ron. Hey, Joe Biden's dentures. Hey, 1920 beer baron. Interesting fact, you cannot see the Great Wall of China from the moon with the human eye, even though the Chinese communists claimed that fact, claimed it was the only man-made object visible from the moon. It was total lying propaganda, and even encyclopedias believed it, and they put it in the encyclopedia, but then they hurriedly took it out. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. See, in Louisiana, we say, oh, yeah. In Minnesota, they say, oh, yeah. You can taste the smoke, the smoke, the smoke. A horse, my kingdom for a horse. You can taste the smoke. It is so smoky. You could have this with smoked sausage. Now, people tell me, they say, hey, listen, man, Johnnie Walker Red Label is not that good. It's a low price point. It's a low level quality issue. It's not that good. Don't get excited. It's pretty low on the totem pole of good scotch. Okay. People like the Whiskey Scout are telling me this. They would know a lot. People like him would know a lot more about whiskey than me because I'm such an amateur and a neophyte that I probably don't know what is good. But that's okay. Like I told him, I said, I know it's hot. There's many things higher up the ladder, but I'm on the low rungs of the ladder. But I think I'm going to start climbing. But at this level, your $20 bottle level or lower, this is a winner. It's a real winner. And you might say, you just don't know any better. You don't know any better. Okay. Ignorance is bliss. So I'm happy being under the impression that what I'm drinking is good. Check me out 10 years later, and I might be on the internet talking about how garbage Red Label is. But it hasn't happened with Budweiser, right? So like 1996, I drank Budweiser. I thought, it's pretty good. Not world class, not fantastic, not the greatest thing, but pretty good. 2006, same opinion. You say, yeah, but you got deeper into beer drinking. I know, the same opinion. 2016, I've tried so many great beers, but same opinion. Now, so has my perspective on Budweiser changed in 24 years? No, it hasn't. Same opinion, even though I've been to the mountaintop. And I have gotten there with you. I did get to the promised land. You know, I have drunk all the great beers, many of them. And, you know, Budweiser's still okay. And Johnnie Walker, to me, is good. It's on a pill. I mean, I'm still in this desert, right? I'm still wandering in the desert, in the Sinai. Is it going to be 40 years? I don't know. Caleb and Joshua and Caleb, remember they went and spied Canaan, and they came back and said, we can beat those guys. They're not even that strong. Plus God is on our side. And the rest of the people said, oh no, they're too strong. We better plan and may have meetings and do some conferences and try this. And so they were punished, and none of them made it to the promised land. After 40 years wandering in the Sinai desert, which isn't even that big, and only 2 people got to make it there, and that was Caleb and Joshua. Not even Moses. He was only allowed to look at it because of some penalties for his lack of faith at times. Anyway, getting off of theology, which is actually more interesting than whiskey tasting, I think. But anyway, J.W. Dant is so humdrum. It's just, it ain't too much. It was like what you would drink in the wilderness if you were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. You know, you get stuck with J.W. Dant because you didn't have faith, so you're drinking that. Did it to yourself. Now, you get to the promised land, then you get to drink Johnnie Walker. Red Label. Like I saw them drinking. I was watching a video clip from 1976 after the raid on Entebbe, when the Hebrews, well, mainly the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, but the Hebrews had rescued those captives in Entebbe, Uganda, and I saw them all celebrating out there. I was only 8 years old, but they were celebrating, and I saw one of them holding a big handle bottle of Johnnie Walker Red. And I said, oh, I bet they're going to sample more than I typically sample after that event. So it is kosher. All right. Mighty fine, mighty fine. Look, none left. Look at that. Whoops. Ding, 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 gone. Yeah, the raid on Entebbe 24 years ago slapped me down. 44 years ago. But that was amateur hour, you know, Idi Amin and his little gang of goofballs. You say, no, they were killers, ruthless, savage killers. Oh, yeah, I didn't say they weren't. They still were a gang of goofballs with minimal IQ ability when you think about it. You know, they're going to get up there and try to fight. And they were dealing with the best, or one of the best, you know. So when the Hebrews went down there and embarrassed them like a fool, slapped them around like a, you know, like a flea with no regard. Not even a flea would get more respect. Say a worm with no regard. Then Idi Amin got overthrown. About 3 years later, Milton Obote and his gang of killers came in, and they overthrew them. But anyway, that's another story for another time. You say, what was Idi Amin and his people drinking? Probably blood and eating human, you know, they were like, I mean, I remember all that when I was little. You say, what are you trying to say about them? I'm not trying to say anything. I don't have to say anything, but anyway, getting off of the Stone Age, so to speak. Yeah, he was, yeah. He had one foot in the modern world and it didn't fit. And he had the other foot in, you know, well, at a time when the wheel wasn't known, people hadn't heard about the wheel. the antediluvian age, but before that maybe. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. History is interesting though, more interesting than whiskey. But how many video channels can you get on where they have taste challenges with Scotch whiskey that link it to Israeli military raids in Central Africa? You don't get that on all your other channels. And you may not realize this, but Benjamin Netanyahu's brother was killed in that raid. I think he was the only soldier killed. The African troops started firing at them, and he got hit with just like a lucky shot. And it was firing in the dark. They weren't aiming. But he was killed, and all the rest survived. And then there was an old Hebrew woman in the hospital. And so how do I phrase this? The people that were the creatures that were alive, the beings, the living beings in military uniforms went in there and killed the woman. They were brave, to go kill an old lady in the bed. But that's what happened. But when you mess with them, one thing about the Hebrews in Tel Aviv, and when you mess with them, you start trouble with them. They don't forget, and they do pay things back. They will pay you back. Might be 25 years. You might be sitting in your living room, 89 years old, reading a book and drinking sherry and saying, yeah, we showed them back years, but they will set a bomb off, Anyway, the Hottentots, yes. Well, the Hottentots were in Southern Africa, but same type, probably lower than that. They are open air. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Okay, well, interesting. So, J.W. Dance, what can we say about it in summary? Yeah, it's all right. All right. Wouldn't go looking for it, but if you stumble across it for $8.99 a liter, buy it. Heck, Johnnie Walker Red Label, you don't have to go looking for it because every liquor store in the world sells it. So, you know what I'm saying? If you buy it, if you see it and you want to pay $20, there's no loss. There's no downside. I'm going to say that there's no downside. None. And I have a prediction. Check me out. Catch me outside 10 years from now, and I'm going to be saying the same thing. Catch me outside 20 years from now, and I'm going to be saying the same thing. You grab me and say, what are you going to say about Johnnie Walker now? 20 years later, I'm going to say, well, it's pretty good for $20. No, it's the way it is. And I'm unanimous in that.